I would say that the lowest barrier to change is actually the conversations that never happen that need to happen in the parish, right? That's the vision that stays in your head that never gets said out loud. It's the heart of the pastor or the ministry professional that just never gets shared to the people around them. They're just managing the situation, they're managing the programs, but they're never really sharing from their heart what this is what God is doing here. That crucial conversation that never happens. It gets avoided because they're worried about the personality conflicts that'll come out of it. They're worried about upsetting someone who's been around for forever. They delay it or they soften it until it means nothing. It's not that change doesn't die, it's just that it never gets fed.
If you work for the Catholic Church and want to reclaim time for discipleship, we're here to help. I'm Ty Hua, here with my co-host John Kahns, and this is the Catholic Ministry Professionals Podcast, your favorite leadership development podcast for Catholic churches. In this episode, we're going to change in your parish doesn't require a new program, a bigger budget, or a pastor who's finally on board. The lowest barrier to change is a conversation, and you're already capable of having it. John, how are you?
I'm doing great. Recording in a new area, and my timer just went off in the background. And I'm like, oh, Ty's going to love this.
Yeah, nothing like me fumbling the intro.
Oh, it was beautiful, man.
Read
It's
5 minutes before this.
I know for our listeners, it has been tough to line up our schedules lately. And so we've had a lot of solo episodes. We've had a lot of guest episodes. But yeah, sometimes we change up the words and just see how good Ty is at reading on the fly.
Well, I missed episode 150. That's a huge milestone. 150. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. And congratulations to you as well. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I think the metric we looked up is that if a podcast can't make it 25 episodes, it's not going to make it any, that's kind of the bar where either it's going to go on for a while or it's going to stop. Yeah, 100, over 150 episodes. This is 152. And we are just trying to continue to bring that good news and try to help the parish teams do what it is that they were formed to do, which is to make more disciples. And so it's just a joy. It's a treat. This is the stuff I love talking about, and I know you're passionate about it as well, Ty. So yeah, we should dive in today. We're talk a little bit about that lowest barrier to change, because I do experience, it's been my experience when I talk to people, that the pastors, our parish leaders, like they're hungry for transformation at their parish. They're hungry for this stuff, but we don't know how to move things forward. And sometimes the challenges that are in front of us seem so big that we just can't quite see how to even begin getting momentum. And so we tend to default to more structural solutions where we're looking for that new program that's going to do the thing, right? We start thinking, well, maybe we need to bring on a whole new person, change a role title, new systems, things like that. And those are good things. But the real bottleneck isn't usually in those resources. I would say that the lowest barrier to change is actually the conversations that never happen that need to happen in the parish, right? That's the vision that stays in your head that never gets said out loud. It's the heart of the pastor or the ministry professional that just never gets shared to the people around them. So they're just managing the situation, they're managing the programs, but they're never really sharing from their heart what this is what God is doing here, and I want to pass that on to you. It's that crucial conversation that never happens. It gets avoided because they're worried about the personality conflicts that'll come out of it. They're worried about upsetting someone who's been around for forever. They delay it or they soften it until it means nothing. And then change, it's not that change doesn't die, it's just that it never gets fed. So we want to talk about that lowest barrier. And this is really deeply grounded in Scripture, in the way that Jesus discipled his disciples, right? And this comes from John chapter 1, verse 39. Here's the secret sauce, the lowest barrier to change is this simple invitation: come and see, right? These three words. One person inviting another person, right? That's the whole secret right there. That is the lowest barrier to change, is that Jesus didn't launch a new program. He wasn't convening a committee. He was looking at individuals. He identified someone who was ready and then asked them to take one step, to have a conversation, to come and see. And that's what we're really talking about today, is that this lowest barrier to change in our parish looks a lot like that. One conversation, one person, 1 hour to come and see. And so let's break that down into the three things that we want to talk about today. And the first thing that I think is key to this, the first crucial part of this framework of the three things that we have is time, right? And this is something we all struggle with. Ty, do you have a lot of extra time on your hands?
No. If my wife is asking, no.
Does she, does she watch the podcast?
No.
No, well, you don't have to worry about
No,
it.
she doesn't. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
No, I don't have any extra time. I got a 3-year-old. Almost
That's
3-year-old.
right. And that's the thing we all experience is that it's so hard to find extra time. But that's also why it's so important to reserve time for the most important things. That's why I don't have extra time, because any time that I have that would be extra, I give to my family, right? And outside of that, I've got time that I need to spend mowing the lawn. I have time that I need to spend. We had a shingle that blew off our house in a storm. I had to go up there and fix that. Our time gets filled really quickly, so we need to prioritize. And in a parish, one of the most important things that we need to do is not overhauling our entire calendar, but maybe requiring finding one protected, intentional hour to spend with other people, the people in the parish, right? There might be a pastor, right? You're going to block off 9 a.m. on Tuesday, or the DRE who's going to say, every 30 minutes after every event that we have, I want to have someone lined up that I'm going to just spend some time meeting with and talking with. Maybe it's the finance person that has a specific time block every Wednesday over lunch, and that's the time that they want to invite people into. But the problem is that we don't necessarily lack time. We just often haven't taken the time to reserve space for the most important things. And so we need to give ourselves permission to spend our time wisely in specific intentional ways. Tyler, what are some of the ways that you protect specific times and blocks for yourself within the context of your work?
You got to have a non-negotiable time where you allow yourself the ability to decline any invitation.
Ooh, I like that.
What I mean by that is I have blocks of time, 2 hours I said a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, just so that it allows me time to catch up on things that I said in other meetings that I said I would do. Most people that are in and out of meetings every single day know this pain. You say you're going to, do this thing, and, you'll follow up, you'll circle back. But then it's like, oh, I didn't have time to do it because I hopped from this meeting into the next meeting. So I build in time throughout the day that allows me to actually do things, whether or not I said I was going to do them in a meeting. So I block off, like I said, 2 hours, and you could block off 4 30-minute increments to get things done, or however long you need. I've got one hour and 2 30-minute time blocks. So that gives me that, in the back of my head, it's like, if I really needed to do something, I can do it then. But if somebody tries to put on my calendar another meeting at that time, it's an automatic decline. Nope, Ty's busy. They can see my calendar. They see that it's blocked off. They don't bug me. And my inner circle already knows, like, it's blocked off. He may or may not have a meeting, but he's doing something. So that's how I own that. And John, I don't know if you're a big Dave Ramsey guy, or if you kind of follow Dave Ramsey at all.
I like Dave Ramsey.
But I equate time to money, insofar as if you don't direct your time and tell it where to go and how you're going to use your time, it will find a way to run away from you, just like money. If you don't budget your money like you budget, or excuse me, if you don't budget your time like you budget your money, it will run away. You will be like, well, where did the day go? Man, I didn't get anything done, but I just feel like I'm so busy.
As in the church, we talk all the time, especially around a Lent, right? Time, talent, treasure. These are the things that we can give to the church. These are the things we're called to steward. And we can be good with money. We can be good with stewarding that, tithing. We can be good with our talent. We're like, oh yeah, I'm good with singing, so I'll lecture at the church, or I'll sing cantor at the church. And then the other thing though is, well, I'm short on time, so I can't give any of that. But the truth is, this is what happens to so many of our pastors and our parish professionals, is where day just fills up with things, but we haven't put in any guardrails or anything. We just get used to saying yes, or we want to be generous. So then we don't actually steward our time intentionally and well. It can get away from us really quickly, especially if you've got a bigger parish, but I would even argue a lot, even a smaller parish. Sometimes people are more invested in trying to get your time, off of your plate. So you have to intentionally steward that time, talent, and treasure. They all go together and they're all related. So you're absolutely right there. So that's the first of the three things, is to find some time to guard it, to implement it. It might take a little while for people to catch on, but I think if you just block it, like schedule it into your calendar, then it's there and you can commit to it and you can follow up. And it doesn't mean you can't play with it and move it around as changes happen within the parish or whatever, or you find better ways to line things up. But to find a way and some specific block of time to set aside for specifically a conversation with a parishioner to happen regularly. The second thing you need then is, once you've got some time that's set aside, is you need a person to have that conversation with, right? You don't need the committee. You need the one person. You don't need to start a small group. You need one person, right? There might be a lapsed parishioner that you've been meaning to call. You just haven't had time to do it. Well, now you've got time blocked off. You start making this list of parishioners that you need to talk to. Maybe there's a volunteer who's been showing up faithfully for 3 years and you want to thank them for that. Or you want to ask them, hey, maybe step away from some of these because we really want you to invest here. Maybe there's a young adult that showed up at mass and you just want to make sure that you actually feel like you're welcoming them into the parish, right? The invitation, this invitation, it just needs to start with one name and it can grow from there. But you got to have that time blocked off. You got to have it reserved. You've got to be committed to using this time well, because once you kind of hone it out, you got to fill it with something, and you got to fill it with people who are a part of the mission and the ministry, and it creates then this space and this rhythm, which we'll get into next, of having the most important conversations. Again, it seems really simple, but you got to make time, and then you got to invite people into that time, which really leads into our third thing, which is the process that you're going to have related to this, right? Um, the reason one-on-one conversations don't have, it's not the lack of desire. It's maybe they get 15 emails, but their emails sent to everybody. So nothing's personal. It's not that personal invitation, right? And sometimes it takes 15 emails then just to schedule one conversation because, oh, you want to meet? Let's meet up. Well, does lunch work on this day? No, lunch doesn't work. Well, how about morning works on this day? Well, that's not free for me. And then you've got 15 emails going back and forth. So what we want to do is create a process that collapses that whole conversation. So maybe this protected time block, you've got this set on your calendar and you can actually create an invite to that specific calendar and people can just opt into it. You could do the same thing with Sign Up Genius or something like that, where you've got a calendar of days and events and times that work for you to meet with people, and then people can just sign up for them. That's a great way. The other thing you can do is maybe you've got it just standing invitation after mass and you're going to invite people into that. But I would recommend that you're finding some specific process that allows you to eliminate the 15 extra emails. And that's maybe handing it off to your admin assistant and they've got access to your calendar. You say, hey, I want to schedule so and so. Can you call out to them and schedule them on my calendar during one of these times? The other thing you can do is, like we said, you have a specific calendar set up so that you can just send out the link to these people and say, hey, find a time that works for you. This is my availability. And it saves that. So this is one area where I think technology can be a big help. Ty, what are some of your process or what you're thinking when we talk about building a system so you can invite people into it and it's not something that then consumes your whole week with 15,000 emails?
Well, the first thing that sticks out to me is, if you don't want to go down the technology rabbit hole of, having an extra calendar and Sign Up Genius or whatever, like when you reach out to somebody to avoid the 15 emails, the back and forth, like John's mentioning, give the person 3 options to choose from. If you don't give them an option, of course it's going to be, well, I'm open these days, and it's like, okay, well, what about this day? Well, I'm only open this time. By the time you actually get something scheduled, it's a week and a half later, 15 emails, and it's just super annoying. When you reach out, make it personal, and then give them options. It's easier to make a decision when you have options versus, ask my wife. Like, I never give her an open, like, invitation to go out to eat somewhere. Hey, I'm hungry. Do you want to get Mexican or do you want to get, Italian, or should we just cook at home? Right? Those are options you give your wife, and then she chooses one of them. But if you
Mm.
say, hey, where do you want to eat? It's like, oh, I don't know, wherever you want to eat.
But do you wanna eat here?
Doesn't work.
No.
No, exactly. So I think that's been a very successful technique that I've used just in my, you know, secular job of when I throw out or, when I try to schedule a meeting, I throw out availability. I can't stress that enough because I used to do that in the corporate world where it's like, hey, let's get together to meet. Oh yeah, let's do that. Okay, when are you available? That doesn't happen to me anymore.
Mhm. Absolutely, and again, I think the more you're blocking off specific times for these, all of a sudden, your decision is kind of made up. This is when I'm available to meet. So then
Mhm.
you're inviting people specifically into that time, which simplifies the whole conversation and the reach out. And if somebody's really interested, they'll follow up and say, that time doesn't work. Can we find another time? And then, yeah, you might have to deviate or move some time blocks around to make that work. But the whole point is decide the system once so that every conversation after that is a one step conversation, not a 10-step conversation with follow up. Okay. And I think with that, we can move on to the devil's advocate. Dun dun.
John, I am way too busy already, and now you're essentially having me add on a perpetual calendar thing that I got to do. I'm already drowning. I don't need more to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I get that because we feel so busy we can't find anything. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is to consider how this protected hour isn't intended to be added to your week. It's intended to replace something you're already putting time into that maybe could be delegated to somebody else. It maybe can be condensed or cut entirely from your calendar. It's not intended to be more work. It's different work, and it's work that's supposed to move the mission forward because you're having the conversations that are going to change things. Remember, this is all about transforming your culture of your parish through your work, and that lowest barrier to change is good conversations where the Lord is meeting people heart to heart. And that has to happen. We need space. I know your heart is hungry for it to have not another meeting that could have been summarized in an email, but another conversation that transforms lives. And if you're having trouble identifying what areas maybe in your week to cut, you can visit catholicministryprofessionals.com/time audit. And that is a great tool we put together. It allows you to kind of track through your week and see where the most life stealing ministry is in your week, the most life stealing, joy stealing work you have. So you can identify that and then find ways to either invite people to help you with it or remove it from the work that you're doing or bring the Lord more fully into it. So I'd really encourage you to do that.
You know, we'd mentioned Dave Ramsey before and talking about a budget. That time audit is like doing a budget. When at the end of when you run out of a month for your money, if you do a budget and you say, okay, where is all of this money going? Then you realize, oh, I'm spending a lot of money eating out. I'm spending a lot of money at gas station, scratch off tickets. Or if it were my almost 3-year-old, he'd be spending all his money on gummy worms and blueberries and strawberries. You got to do that with your time. If you audit your time, you'll notice, like, man, I tend to get up and grab coffee, and then I'm talking with Ethel 5 times a day. And yeah, it's not for long stretches of time. It's 5 minutes. Yeah, but 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. That's literally a short time block that you could have on your calendar to get things done. And I think, John, we've talked previously about, is it Parkinson's law, where it's like you will actually get more done in the time that you allow it to get done.
Yeah, like
Something like that?
work expands to fit the time given for the work.
Yes, thank you. So I think if you do your time audit, go to our website, use that time audit resource. Just illuminate yourself to the possibility that you are wasting so much time.
And I think one of the biggest areas is just the interpersonal relationships we have in ministry offices. Like we love to talk about our hearts and what's going on in our lives and
Mm,
what is or isn't working. But at the end of the day, like it's not bad to have those conversations. But if we get stuck in those conversations, a real quick check-in that could have been 5 minutes turns into 20, 30 minutes, and for you. And it's so you're going to notice rhythms in your day that can be modified for the glory of the kingdom. Amen.
amen. What do you got for us to help us out?
Yeah, of course, we never want to leave you without something you can do today to take action on our conversation. So, the first one is just step one to this week identify one person in your parish that you've been meaning to connect with. Write their name down, block an hour on your calendar, and send a message to them to make it happen, right? Don't negotiate the time. Just say, hey, I'm wondering if you can meet this day at this time. Pick something practical, right? Don't say, I want to meet at 5 a.m. They might not be available then. The
Mm,
second thing that you can do, step two, share this episode with your priest or your friend in ministry that could benefit from it. And finally, if you want help turning clarity into action, you could book a discovery call at catholicministryprofessionals.com. And we would love to walk you through this over the phone, help you identify some real things that you could take action on today to transform your parish through your work. The other thing you can do is if you want to take what we covered today and put it into practice, I've put together a free parish culture resource. It's a one-page tool that helps you identify the 3 conversations that your parish needs to have right now. And you can download it at catholicministryprofessionals.com/culture. And with that, I do want to
hey,
thank you.
John,
You
real
got an
quick.
idea?
No, not an idea. I just want to throw this out there. Well, you'd mentioned don't invite somebody at 5 a.m. You won't believe how many guys invite me to their men's group. And it's like, oh yeah, we'd love to have you. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, we meet at 5:30 in the morning. And the first thought is like, get behind me, Satan.
I
Okay.
need my sleep.
No, it's not even sleep. Like, because I've recently started getting up to like work out because I've neglected that in the past almost 3 years. If you can
I
imagine
don't
that.
I
So I'm
don't
like,
want
I
to
need
say
to get
anything.
back into it. Yeah. It's like I see pictures of myself. I'm like, holy cow, buddy. Anyways, be a little bit more protective of their time, right? Like, I don't think 5:30 a.m. is anywhere close to a great time to invite anybody to anything, at least in the first deal. Like if you've been talking with them, if you've been going to, grab coffee or lunch or whatever, and you've got a good thing going, then just say like, hey, we do have a group. It's not for everybody. We do meet at 5:30. That's different. But if you spring on me in our first meeting, like, hey, we'd love to invite you to a gathering of like-minded gentlemen. Oh, it's at 5:30. It's like, no, we're not like-minded. So
Well, the other one is things that always happen at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. is when my baby's going to
yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
7 p.m. is when like the whole family is finally home and like stuff is done. We've fed everybody. We could be together for a little bit. I'm saying bring back the lunch meeting. Bring back the lunch
Yeah.
meeting. That's it.
Same.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, don't let it be just another good idea. Text it out to a priest or a friend in ministry and start that conversation today. And with that, we'll see you in the vineyard.